Alright, well, I'm trying to upload the last take to Google Video, so we'll see how it looks. While I'm waiting, why not do a few more questions and see if we can knock a few out. I'm realizing that with this video camera that I've got, I can do about 8 minutes worth of video before I get to 100 megabytes, and then I have to use the client uploader, so I'll probably break it into chunks of 5 to 8 minutes each. Okay, Ryan writes in. He says, can you put an end to some myths about having too many sites on the same server, or having sites with IPs too similar to each other, or having them all include the same JavaScript off a different site? In general, if you're an average webmaster, this is something that I wouldn't really worry about. Now, I have to tell a story about Tim Meyer and I being on a panel together, and somebody said, you took all my sites out. He said, both Google and Yahoo did. And I really didn't have that many. And so Tim Meyer thought to ask, well, how many sites did you have? And the guy looked a little sheepish for about a minute, and they said, well, I had about 2,000 sites. So there's a range, right? There's a continuum. If you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 sites, and they're all different themes, stuff like that, you're not in the place where you really need to worry that much. If you have 2,000 sites, you need to be asking yourself, do you really have enough unique value-add content to support 2,000 sites? Because the answer is probably not. But if you're just your average guy, you've got a few sites, I wouldn't worry about them being on the same IP address, and I definitely wouldn't worry about them being on the same server. That's something that everybody does. And the last thing Ryan asked about was including the same JavaScript off a different site. Well, this is a very common idiom. People use JavaScript trackers. Google AdSense is JavaScript included off another site. So this is something that a lot of sites do on the web. I wouldn't necessarily worry about it at all. Now, if you have 5,000 sites and you're including the JavaScript that does the sneaky redirect, then you do need to worry. But if it's just a few sites or you're doing something entirely logical with your JavaScript, I wouldn't worry at all. Alright, Aaron Shear writes in with kind of an interesting question. He says, I'm having trouble understanding the problems that we face every time we launch in a new country. Typically, we launch a new country with millions of new pages at the same time. Additionally, due to our ambitious PR team, we get tons of links from our network of sites as well as press during every launch. So he's saying that the last time they did this, they didn't do very well in French, and then they launched a site in Australia and they didn't do very well at all. Aaron, this is a good question primarily because the answer has changed somewhat since the last time we talked. Somebody asked me this question at SES New York, and I said, just go ahead and launch stuff. Don't worry about it. It may bring more scrutiny, but in general, you'll be fine. I think if you're launching sites with millions of new pages, you want to be a little more cautious if you can. In general, if you're launching with that many pages, it's probably better to try to launch a little more softly. So a few thousand pages, and then add a few thousand more, stuff like that. It could very well be, millions of pages is a lot of pages. I mean, Wikipedia is only, how many, 5, 10 million pages? So if you're launching millions, that could be attracting scrutiny, and you want to make sure that those are all good pages. Otherwise, you might find yourself not doing as well as you'd hoped for. All right, quick question. Classic Nation writes in and says, I'm wondering what the status is on Google Images, and if we can expect to see an update on the indexing technology in the future. Actually, there was a thread on this on Webmaster World. We just did an index update, I think last weekend, of our index for Google Images. And I was talking to somebody on the Images team, and they're always working hard. So a lot of the stuff you may not see. It may be as simple as bringing in new infrastructure that the main web index has.